Hi, Brent Kelly here of the Sitkins Group with my Profit Tip, professional fitness to help you and your agency gain clarity, consistency, and to make a commitment to become your best version possible. And I want to share with you today a very simple yet powerful chart to help you as an agency leader to say, are the current things that we're doing or have been doing, is that going to help us get to where ultimately we want to go? Now, before I get into this, just a basic, easy example. I love roadmaps. Of course, now they're all digital on Google or Apple Maps or whatever. But growing up, I loved to look at atlases and roadmaps. And if we were going on a trip, I would say, okay, where are we going? What's the route to get there? And I would look at different ways of getting there. But just ask yourself a question as an agency. If you had an idea in mind where you wanted to go and you had no roadmap or the map wasn't leading you there, does that make any sense? Well, of course, the answer is no. Or what if you had a roadmap, but you didn't really know where you wanted to go? So this is the idea of, does your current direction match your ultimate destination? Of course, you need to know both. You need to know where it is you want to go, then you got to figure out how you're going to get there. And so again, this is just an idea, an example, a chart to help you just kind of think about past results can be an indicator of future results if we don't change habits or strategies or behaviors, right? If we do the things we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. And this idea actually came from Andy Stanley, who talked about, does your current direction match your destination? So here's what I want to do, and this is something you can do on your own blank sheet of paper, pretty simple to do. We like to keep things simple, but on the x-axis, it's just the time, right? So you look back 5 years, back 3 years, back 1 year. This is as of today, where they meet, plus 1 year, plus 3 year, plus 5 years. And then on the y-axis, I want to look at revenue/results. So in this example, I'm just going to use a sample agency. I'm making these numbers up just to give you an idea. But let's use an agency that's $2.5 million in revenue. You may be way bigger, you may be smaller, but I just want to give you an idea of how you can do this very easy. And you're going to maybe have different revenue numbers so you can chart it for your own graph. In this case, I use 1 through 5 million in revenue, currently at 2.5, so just splitting the difference. So in this sample agency, you look back 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. So 5 years ago, they were about a $2 million agency. Then they went to about 2.2, then about 2.4 1 year ago, and they're at 2.5 million in revenue today. Okay? So this just kind of gives us a trajectory of where we're going. Now again, I know there were outlier years, certainly last year was different, but you just look at it, again, it can be a very good indicator of where we're going, especially as I've already mentioned, if we don't change behavior, strategies, habits of any kind, we don't change the culture, our people, it's going to be very similar. We see it all the time in tracking agencies. So if you take an agency like this, they're going to track out, if you follow the model, something like this, right? So they're going to grow very slowly and steadily, and maybe that's okay. But it's always interesting because as I talk to agencies many times, especially for the first or second conversation, and they're learning about our programs and what we're doing, I say, well, what do you really want? Well, I really can see us being a $3 million agency next year. Great, that's a pretty big jump. How are you going to do that? Well, I don't know yet, but we're going to be a $3 million agency. What could you be in 3 years? And I always ask the question, looking back, how did you get there? Well, I think in 3 years, we could be a $3.5 million agency. And again, I'm using a sample here. And then in 5 years, well, I don't know. That's a long time. Maybe 4 million, right? So they have these ideas of where it is they want to go. But if you look at it and you start from today, to go from 2.5 million to this 4 million is going to look more like this, right? That's going to be the trajectory you're going to have to go on to get there. Well, we're not on this trajectory. So this is simply the gap. All right, this is the gap that most agencies face. And I think as you do this, I want you to think about where is it that you really want to go 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. Right? You've got to have an idea in mind. You've got to have some goals. Doesn't mean they're always going to be perfect, but you've got to have something that you can rally your team around, rally yourself around, and then say, wait a second, is our current trajectory going to get us there? And maybe it will. Maybe you're on the right track. Good for you. But for most agencies, they realize they have to be honest with themselves. Remember, all progress starts by telling the truth, right? By telling the truth. I had a finance person I was meeting with a few years ago, and we were talking about debt, and I said, what's the best way for people to get out of debt? What does it look like? And I said, is it lowering interest rate? Is it that snowball effect? Is it organizing your debts differently? And he said, it's pretty simple, Brent. The best way to get out of debt is to stop borrowing money. Right? That's the best way to get out of debt. Stop doing the same mistakes you've been doing. And what we see with agencies is they continue to do the same things, yet they expect a different result. And we all know that is the definition of insanity. So gap, to me, is this. What are your goals and what are your plans? What are your goals and what are your plans for the future, and does it match? Again, does your direction align with your ultimate destination? Now, I also want to share with you that we just launched at the end of last year, going into 2021, our all-inclusive model for the Sitkins Network. Access to every one of our world-class training programs, our tools and resources. We have a peer community. We have monthly masterminds. All of these things for every single member of your agency team. All live, all virtual stuff that you can attend from the convenience of your home or your office, wherever you may be, to fill that gap, to get you to where you want to go. And as coaches and trainers, we're going to work with you to help you do that. And if you just go to sitkins.com/AIM, that stands for All-Inclusive Model, you'll learn about all the programs and what we're doing and get signed up. I can tell you, until we get 100 members, and we're on the way to get there, we're going to have 100 members very soon in this program, it's $497 a month. Right? All of our programs, all of our training for $497 a month, which is just for our producer camp, which starts in a couple weeks, that's half the price of just the one producer camp. So this is an incredible opportunity. My mission, our mission at Sitkins is to help as many agencies become their best version possible. We want you to fill your gaps. We want you to get great results. We want you to be part of this program so that you can take your business to the next level. I wish you all the best in your success.